Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you this fun gatefold pop-up card that'll stand and show off this beautiful suite of products. I'm using the framed violet bundles for this along with products from the suite. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how to get started. I'm going to start with the stamping for this project, and I'm going to bring in my sentiment. I'm using Memento, but if you don't have Memento already, you can look at our basic black hybrid ink, which will work for both our blends and our watercoloring. I'm going to ink up my image here now and stamp it in the center because I'm going to be die cutting this. I want plenty of room, like so. And then I'm going to bring in my image, ink up this left-hand side, and I'm going to stamp that right here in the bottom corner of my signature panel. So I've got that finished and I'm ready to color. I'm going to bring in my violets here, and I'm going to be using my light, and I'm simply going to be adding some color throughout the entire violet. Once I have that in place, I'm going to bring in my dark. And if I want, I can bring my light back in and smooth those edges and fill in for a deeper, bolder color. And I'm going to repeat that process on the other two buds. Now that I have my flowers done, I can bring in my peaceful pine and do the greenery. I am going to use a very light touch on this stems of this image. If I move quickly and use a light touch, I can fill in those lines quickly and easily. Once I have that finished, I can do my leaves. And I'm going to use the same process, light, and then adding my highlights. If you would prefer, you can go from the dark to the light. The choice is up to you. I've got the violets finished for my focal point, and I'm going to repeat the process here on my inside panel. There we go. I can put my blends to the side and we can start assembling our gatefold pop-up card. I've got my two-tone cardstock here, and I'm going to score at the 1/2 inch mark. I'm going to score at the 2 5/8 inch mark. Then I'm going to flip this around and repeat. I'm going to set my large piece aside and bring in my strip, and I'm going to score at the 2 1/8 inch mark and 4 1/4. And I'm going to repeat that on the other side. I'm ready to move my scoreboard to the side. Now I'm going to fold my two-tone cardstock on each of the score lines. I'm going to fold the larger section in, and then I'm going to take this 1/2 inch section and fold out. And I'm going to repeat that on both sides. I want to burnish this really well. And of course, if you prefer, you can flip this inside out and fold it the other way, burnishing again. On this long strip, I'm going to fold in using the center piece as my mark, and then I'm going to fold out. I'm going to open that up and repeat it on the other side. Now that I have that finished, I can start adding my panels to the card base. I'm going to bring in this large piece of hydrangea hue and adhere it down. Now you can decide which side you want in and up when you're building this. I happen to be using the light side on the inside and the dark for the back of the card base and for this center panel. And then I'm going to bring in these two floral patterns in Gorgeous Grape and adhere those to the inside panels on the right and the left. Now if this is directional, you want to pay attention to which direction you're laying this. And this has some pretty tiny margins. They're 1/8 of an inch total, and so you want to make sure you're lining this up evenly top, bottom, and sides. There we go. I've got that done. I can flip it over, and I'm going to add the two side panels with these beautiful florals. Now I happen to be using a little lighter cardstock, the two-tone, and I chose to do that so that my card is not quite as thick as if I were to use regular cardstock, but you could do that if you prefer. Now that I have those in place, I can turn this over and adhere my center panel. But first I'm going to add my designer series papers to this, making it a little easier for me. Once I have those panels in place, I can bring in my card base and I can lay this strip on top. Now I want to center this as best I can, and of course you can use your grid paper for this. Let me show you what I mean here. This happens to be, let's see, I'm going to set that right there on my grid lines. This center strip happens to be slightly more than 2 blocks or 1/2 inch long. And so I want to place that so that it's nice and centered, both top to bottom and then side to side. And you can see that on your grid paper. It's just a hair longer than the 2 blocks. So I'm going to space that out evenly. I'm going to flip this over, add some adhesive, and adhere. I've got that burnished in place, and so I'm going to fold this left-hand side down, and I'm going to fold this left side in with that accordion panel. Fold, and I'm going to burnish again just to make sure it's in place. And I'm going to add adhesive on this 1/2 inch strip right behind my Gorgeous Grape strip, and so I'm going to use this as my guide and simply add adhesive right there where I need it, and hold down and burnish. Now you can use tear and tape for this step if you prefer. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to pull this side over. I'm going to burnish those folds again just to make sure they're nice and tight. And I'm going to repeat on this side, adding a little bit of adhesive down that 1/2 inch strip and folding this flat and burnishing. There we go. I've got this double gate, which I'm going to fold the right in and then the left on top to create this gatefold pop-up card. Just really quick and easy once you know the trick. So to finish this card off, I'm going to bring in my stamped pieces. I'm going to adhere my signature panel at this point to the inside. If you prefer, you can do this later after you sign it. That's up to you. There we go. I'm going to fold this in and I'm going to adhere my violets right here onto the panel. I'm going to adhere these down flat because I'm going to pop up my sentiment. So I'm going to add some adhesive across the back of my violets here. And adhere them in place. Then I'm going to decide what I want to do with my sentiment, and for this project I'm going to take my paper snips and I'm going to snip them off here on the right at an angle, and I'm going to snip straight on the left. I'm going to bring in my dimensionals and add one to each end. Remove the backings. Bring in my card, decide where I want it. Let's see, I think I'm going to place it with a little bit of the stem showing and the leaves. I'm going to tuck it up against the left edge here so that that straight edge mimics the edge of the panel, and I'm going to adhere it down. There we go. For a little bit of shine, I'm going to bring in my rhinestones, and I'm going to pick up these tiny ones, and I'm going to pop one here in the center of the violet, and another one here on the center of this violet, and then I'm going to take a larger rhinestone and tack it right here underneath the sentiment, like so. I've got a little shine on my card now, and when you open it, it will stand and show off those violets in this beautiful designer series paper beautifully. So there you go, a gatefold pop-up card that I've created with the Frame Violets bundle of products along with items from the suite. And of course, if you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. Thanks for joining me.